Okay guys, so in this video, we're going to go through a really basic assessment of your abdominal muscles. We're first of all going to look at your diastasis, check if you have a diastasis because maybe you don't, and just check what that gap is. We're literally going to be looking at what the gap is. But then we're going to do what I consider to be the most important part of the assessment, and that's figuring out how strong your abdominal muscles are. Okay, so we're going to do 4 exercises to see how, they're going to get increasingly difficult, and we're going to see how your abdominal muscles react, and that's going to tell us where you should start on the program. Okay, so we're going to get some information about the actual gap. But that's not actually, it is a piece of information that you need to know, but it's not the most important thing. You do need to know how strong your muscles are and in order to be able to get the right level. Remember, we talked about getting the right level for you and then progressing from there. So this is to help you figure out your starting point on the program, and then you can progress from there. Okay, so lying on your back, you're just going to lift your top up and do this along with me. Don't just watch me doing this, actually do it with me so that you get the instructions and you get the feel for it. Okay, so with your knees bent, you're just going to take your hand, and it's just super duper simple. Just put your fingers this way. You don't have to do it this way. This is a little bit more comfortable in the beginning. And you're going to, at your belly button, and here you're going to just do a little crunch, and you're going to see if you can feel a gap in between. You can wiggle your fingers from side to side. See if you can put your hand behind your head if your neck hurts. See if you can feel a gap between the 2 sides of your abdominal muscles, okay? You don't have to do anything special. Then you're just going to walk your fingers up towards your rib cage, and then down towards the belly button again, and then down towards the pelvis. And you can play around there and feel if there's a gap anywhere here. Sometimes it's different from the top to the bottom. Some people have a gap at the top and they don't have one at the bottom, or vice versa, or they just have a gap in the middle. Okay, put your head back down. So we're going to check for 2 things. We're going to check for the depth of the gap to see if we can put our fingers in. Maybe there's a lot of tension there, and you can't feel, you can't really stick your fingers in very far, or maybe the connective tissue is very soft there, and you can get your fingers in quite deep, or maybe your fingers sink all the way in, and it feels like there's a big kind of, it feels like there's a hole there, but there's not. Okay, so we're testing for the depth or the tension that's in that connective tissue, but we're also testing for the width. Okay, so this time you can put your fingers like this, like the way we see a lot of people checking it, and crunch up and see if you can feel up and down the muscles. See if you can feel a gap, and if you can fit 2 fingers in, see if you can fit 3 fingers in, or maybe you can't fit 2 fingers in and you can only fit 1 finger in. Maybe you can fit 4 fingers in. Okay, so it tells us the width of it. Now you could have a wide gap, but there's a lot of tension in the linea alba. Okay, so for example, I can fit 2 fingers in between the 2 sides of my muscles, but there's quite a lot of tension in here. It doesn't sink very deep. But you could have a 1 finger gap and a very deep kind of not very much tension in the linea alba, so quite a deep diastasis. It could be wide and deep, or it could be narrow and there's a lot of tension in it. Okay, so that tells us some information about the gap and how much tension is in that linea alba. Okay, that's all we want to know at this point, but it's not the full picture. Okay, now we're going to do an assessment of the strength of your abdominal muscles. So we're going to do 4 exercises, getting gradually harder. The first one is called a heel slide, and all I want you to do is just straighten your leg out like this. Okay, so with your heel just a couple of centimeters from the floor, then put it back, and then straighten your heel out, the other heel out, and put it back. Okay, you're just going to alternate like this. Right, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put your hands on your belly, and don't worry about breathing or technique or anything like that. We're going to go through all of that on the program. This is just to give you an idea of what your abdominal muscles are doing. Put your hands on your belly, and then you're going to do the same thing. Okay, so if your tummy muscles kind of jump when you lift your when you lift your leg up, right, and you can't control, if your tummy muscles jump, you're going to try and control it, okay? Just don't suck your tummy muscles in, just try to stop them from jumping out. Try and control them as they jump out, as you straighten your leg out, okay? This is really common, like, you know, not very long after the birth. It's really hard to control that, okay? And if you can't control it, or if it's quite difficult to control it, if it's quite difficult to control it, then start on level 2 of the program. If you can control it, but it's not that easy, start on level 2 of the program. If you can't control it and your tummy muscles bulge out, either all the muscles bulge out or there's a line that bulges through the muscles, then start on level 1 of the program. Okay, also pay attention that your opposite hip doesn't come up. So if I straighten this leg out, sometimes people lift up their opposite hip. You want to keep that stuck down on the floor. Okay, exercise number 2, a very similar level of difficulty. What you're going to do from here, feet hip width apart, you're going to lift one knee up, again keeping that opposite hip down, put it back down on the floor, and then lift the opposite knee up. Okay, again, touch your abdominal muscles, and as you lift your knee up, see if your abdominal muscles jump out and you can't, then try and control it. If you can't control it, start on level 1 of the program. I don't know why I'm pointing over there, it's not over there. If you can control it but it feels a little bit challenging, then start on level 2 of the program. And if it feels really easy and like you're not doing anything, then stay with me and we're going to do a harder exercise now. Okay, so exercise number 3, you're going to lift that first leg up. Okay, we kind of want 90 degrees here. I keep doing this, but we actually want like 90 degrees here. What you're going to do now is you're going to lift the second knee up to meet it. Okay, so we've got 90 degrees here and 90 degrees-ish at the knee. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit bigger. Okay, so bringing that first knee up and then bringing the second one up to meet it. Now you notice my tummy muscles stay flat. Okay, I'm not sucking them in. They're just staying where between the rib cage and the pelvis. If your tummy muscles, so put your hands on your belly, and if your tummy muscles bulge out, or if you really arch your back as you lift this up, which is normal, this is a hard exercise to do, you need to start on level 2 of the program, and then we'll start strengthening your muscles so that you can do this and harder exercises. Okay, so again, just lifting one knee up and then lifting the other knee up to meet it. If your tummy muscles bulge out, then you want to start on level 2 of the program. And if you can keep them nice and flat, start on level 3 of the program. Okay. 4th exercise, we're going to do a crunch. Okay, we actually did one before with the DR, so you'll have an idea of what your tummy muscles are doing with the DR assessment. So you're just going to crunch up, and by crunch I mean bring your ribs to your pelvis. Okay, try and bring that one closer to the other. Okay, so crunching up. And what's good about this one is you can actually look at your tummy muscles. You can put one hand behind your head if it hurts your neck. Actually look at your tummy muscles and see what they're doing. Can you keep it flat? If you can keep it flat here, then I want you to go to level 3 of the program. And if it bulges out, and it might bulge out in the middle, or you might get a little line through the linea alba, and you can't control it, I want you to go to level 2 of the program. Okay, so there's actually, I'll also include below a little video of what bulging looks like, because you might sort of not know really what I'm talking about, it just might not really make a lot of sense. So I've put a video below to show you what that looks like on a few different bellies and in a few different movements. If your tummy muscles are bulging out during any exercise, don't panic. It's just a sign that you're probably not doing damage. I know a lot of people sort of talk about doing damage, but it's just a sign that that exercise is a little bit too difficult for you right now, and you want to just find a easier version of that exercise, a slightly gentler version of that exercise, work on that, and then build back up to that level. Okay, so I hope that that video, these couple of exercises that we just did, gave you some clarity on what the gap looks like of your diastasis recti,
or any if you have one at all, because you might not have one, and how strong your abdominal muscles are, and more or less where you should start on the program. If you have any questions or you're not sure, you can send me a message on the Facebook group, you can send me a private email, and you can always video your tummy and send it to me. I'm more than happy to look at that and let you know what I think and where you should start. But it's always good to start at level 1 or 2 of the program, work your way through, really build up a solid base and get used to all the exercises. We'll go through exactly how to do everything in that core program and how to do core exercises properly, how to retrain your core after having a baby and strengthen those abdominal muscles. So go and get started on that core program and let me know how you get on.